structures, usually housing some kind of crystal or maybe a glass object.
Does it look like they used to be part of a bigger, like a wider structure, like as a remnant structure, or is this something that's been constructed?
Some of them look like they were bigger, but they've fallen to ruin. But it doesn't necessarily seem like they used to be a part of something else. But some of them are in worse shape than the others, and diminished in size as a result. But yeah, you'll pass by these, and you'll note that there's guardians on most of them.
These ones.
Yeah.
I'll ask Ishmael if he's ever encountered this before. Oh, and obviously Darvin, our new dwarven companion, on his epic goat.
Well, I am an experienced adventurer, so I'd be willing to give it a crack of the dice, see what I might know.
Trying to learn of these people.
Geez, where's my sheet? I keep losing my sheet. All right, have you just completely gone away now? There you are. Sorry. Let me see here. Blah, 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 blah. So, what would this be coming under? We're talking about ancient religions, or
yeah, you tell me what you're doing.
Well, he wants to know anything we might know about these obelisks and these shrines, right? That we're encountering, right? Obscure history probably might cover that, potentially.
Oh.
I mean, I don't have anything about religiosity specifically. You know, the obscure history is probably the one that would cover it, potentially. No, that's not how that works, is it? I always forget about that one. Yeah, no, obscure history, maybe.
So, right. So if we're going with that, it's going to be obstacle 6.
All right, I'll take it. Oh yeah, I'll definitely take it because it gives me a difficult. I need a couple of those for that one. So let me see here. Roll of the dice. Do I even have fate points? Can I re-roll? Can I re-roll the 6? I mean, or roll again for this? Yeah, I think I will actually.
You spend your fate. You can.
Yeah, I think I will. Still, it was worth doing. Yep, Davern's coming up blank. You know, he tries to think of, you know, all the different weird human religions he's encountered along the way, and just nothing clicks. This is beyond even his obscure knowledge.
Some sort of full Grasher challenge to enter the Vans competition.
I'm just most curious. Oh, my new friend. I have traveled wide. I've read even wider. So I've spent, decades of my life in the tower in Riathil. Some of the best knowledge we have at our disposal, and yeah, I've never really heard of much of this religion. And religious practices, from my understanding, tend to spread. Yet, this one has remained here.
There's some things you can't learn about in books.
That's very true. Very true.
And hey, I've traveled wider and farther probably than you have, and it's a new one on me.
I somehow doubt that, but
hey, I could tell you some stories. Maybe later, but
like, where did you get that magnificent goat?
Oh, Lucia. Oh, well, she's homegrown. You have to come to Allentine. They're everywhere. Just roaming about, just nibbling.
I'd be more than happy to.
Well, I hope so.
I haven't got a demented king to contend with.
Undead army thing that we'd like to get sorted out. you know, before there's nothing left of the
Well,
country, you know.
from my understanding, it's just the king that's undead.
No, it's not just their king. It's like at least like half of their army.
Have you faced off with them? Obviously, this is as we're moving through the swampland.
Yeah,
Perhaps
quite
maybe I
literally
wasn't
trekking
entirely
through the
clear
swamp.
initially when we introduced ourselves, but yeah, I've seen them on my way out of Valentine. They chased. Yeah, I got chased for like a good 10, 20 miles to the border, and then
What kind of
ran
force did
back.
they employ? Did they use any kind of sorcerer's powers? Was it mainly
They had
martial?
everything. They had the sorceries, they had the war machines, they had the undead abominations. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's impressive. We're tougher to kill than most people think.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
And in Casparaz, they can break themselves upon the walls for years probably if they want to. But the problem is it keeps us all sort of
hemmed in,
trapped in one place. Yeah, and it's bad for business. I mean, people don't want to do business with folks who are besieged by undead horrors. I don't know. I mean, go figure.
No.
So yes, your Majesty, we're obviously interested in renewing our vows of fealty, but part of that comes with the whole, and then you help us not get slaughtered by the said undead horrors. Yeah.
Nothing comes for free. I know.
Hey, I haven't even laid out everything that the Senate says we can offer. I mean, we have not just been collecting bottle caps up there all this time.
Master Davin, you have a unique opportunity to expose your concerns during this trip, because normally I would have meetings daily. Oh, meetings every day. But right now,
it's tough being king. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, look, I mean, it's not just what, we need you to do for us, although, like, it would be nice if, like, we could, like, get to the whole, pushing back the undead hordes and all, like, sooner rather than later. But we are aware that you are short on everything. And so
that's a acute assessment of our current situation. Yes.
Yeah. So the Chancellor and Senator of Valentine have authorized me to make available certain resources that are not currently being occupied by our own war effort.
Such as yourself.
Well, of course. Of course. I am a fine specimen of Valentine Warren stock. But not just myself. I am simply you can think of me as a facilitator.
You're a river to your people. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, actually. Did you know that I'm a mud skipper myself?
Is that a smuggling term?
Well, I do smuggle occasionally, yes, but no.
I have a pirate friend who I haven't had a chance to speak to in some time.
Really? Who? I might know him.
Oh, it's a Dark Watcher. I'm a Dark Watcher before I became king,
Yeah, I know all about that. They let me in the club too. Did I show you that?
It's Lucia Hayden.
Oh, another Lucia.
Wow. I hope she's doing okay. She's in. Last I saw her, she was in Riethil.
Hayden. Yeah, that kind of sounds familiar. She's Riethil, you say? Yeah. I think I might have met her once or twice. I mean, you meet lots of people along the great rivers. No, mud skipper, river boater. Yeah, my family have been long in the trade. Well, several hundred years. Ever since we settled in Valentine, really. There's there's been a Vathris plowing the river lanes.
Well, if
But,
that's the case, I want to keep your professional eyes open while you're here. I would appreciate
Oh,
your insight.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, we are aware, as I said, that you have lacking of lots of things, but most acutely, money, gold, funds, tender, and we, not to brag, but we are quite a wealthy little nation. We've done very well for ourselves since coming to the surface, and although not all of our assets are currently available because they are under siege, we of course diversify. So we could make available certain funds to help, of course, acquire and arm and feed your growing military might, which you would then hopefully use to reciprocate, if you know what I mean.
You want a beneficial arrangement that helps both parties.
Well, as I said, and you can look this up when we're back in civilization, but we already have a reciprocal agreement, or at least we have one with your ancestors. Of course, we live a bit longer than you do. So for most of us, it's kind of like just yesterday.
Well, since I am currently in the market for clearing up my ancestors' mess, then I am happy to have a look at this with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could actually offer something more personally.
Really?
In the military department, I know a guy. Yeah. Oh man, these are some primo. These are some of the baddest of the bad in Alentine. Yeah. Yeah, they're some of our best. I know their captain. Let's call them irregulars. Irregulars. I
Okay.
think is a polite way of putting it. But
They have a unique set of skills.
Yeah, and for the right price, they lend those skills to interested parties. I would imagine you're an interested party, and I could put in a good word. They might even give you a discount. I don't know.
Well, I am interested, of course, but
Yeah.
I may have to deal with the problems of today before I can turn myself to the opportunities of tomorrow.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know why you're in the swamp right now exactly. I mean, I'm here to help, of course. Anything you need, here to facilitate, as I said. But yeah, I mean, I would imagine there's more pressing issues, but I am not the overlord of the human kingdoms, so I leave that to your discretion, Your Majesty.
Something your ancestors have also taught me is sometimes the answer to your problems is just below your feet. You just have to be willing to look. So
yeah, you that's right. Yeah, you spent a lot of time with us, didn't you? Yeah, you Glavier. Yeah, we need to talk more about Glavier.
I would love to see Glavier again.
Destiny has taken her hand and put it on his shoulder, and he's meant for great things, and we need great things right now up in Alentine. I'm just gonna. I'm not trying to be an alarmist or anything like that, but yeah, you know,
please,
there's
not
a
more
lot
bad
news of these undeads and weird fire crown worshipy dudes, and you know, could use some help. Just saying, not to put too fine a point on it, but
trust me, David, it is on my to-do list.
I would hope it would be at the top of your to-do list. And I mean, I know that that Barrack guy's running around, you know, making himself busy, doing great work, by the way, from what we hear. Great work, running a fantastic guerrilla warfare style campaign. Again, I'm not a military expert, but like I think they'll be writing songs and singing and stories about it, like in the years to come, assuming we all like live through it.
I intend to see this through to the end.
Well, That's good to hear. And so yeah, if we could just get all our like pieces together in one place, and then just like, I mean, that would be my suggestion. But
Well, if our business here is successful, this will be a major boon to us.
all right, well,
You may not see it now, but as my faithful companion here, Ishmael, will tell you, this place holds a surprising secrets.
well, it holds a surprising number of smells. I can tell you that. But hey, whatever you need, I have to say I am an expert negotiator. So anything you need, I'm here to
You've
help.
successfully negotiated yourself into my party, so congratulations.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Speaking of smells, Ishmael, if
Well, I was
if you
going to
need-
say, my
go
liege,
ahead.
while this has been going on, like you've been having this conversation, Ishmael has been overseeing the various guard that we've got with us to basically make sure that we're sort of pulling our weight and helping protect this party, because we're travelling with our newfound friends, apparently the swamp dwellers, and he's also the guy who said, oh, you should travel with us, safety in numbers. He's sort of like currently riding alongside him, and he's just sort of like chatting to him, trying to find out a bit more about his people, their lifestyle. But because obviously if we're going to deal with them, the more we can sort of know about them, the more sort of points of comparison we can find between us, the better, basically. So, and also because he, even though he's not obviously not down all the religious mumbo jumbo, he does sort of appreciate the sacrifice that the sort of guardian of the shrine made previously, because even though he's lost his faith in religion, he still saw that like a man was willing to like sacrifice his life to like protect something that was important to him, and he sort of values that. So he's quite sort of respectful for these swamp dwellers. He's like, oh, obviously like their home means a lot to them, and if we hope to make any sort of diplomatic inroads with them, we need to like show appropriate sort of respect to it. And in order to do that, we really need to sort of understand where they're coming from, so we can sort of like meet them in the middle.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. There's probably a role in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm basically, to sort of render it down to game terms, I'm possibly hoping to get some sort of lore related to either like the swamp or the particular subset of people that we're currently dealing with. I was going to suggest some sort of social skill. I mean, I'm not really trying to persuade them of anything. Maybe etiquette. Because I'm just trying to like ingratiate myself. I'm not really trying to get them to do anything for me.
Yeah, no. And your goal then would be to obtain sort of information on them, I suppose.
Yeah, but like I say, in terms of game terms, I'm hoping to get the lore skill that's associated with this particular swamp and its people. I don't know how best we'd sort of go about, because I know you have to like roll to acquire it and sort of build it up.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So
Swamp-wise.
like in sort of like in technical terms, you talking to these people is the justification for you to start rolling on the Swamplander wise skill.
Yeah, I'll just put down being trained. I'll just put swamp wise.
Yeah.
Am I able to help with this if it's a new thing?
It's if you want to specifically learn about these people, it would need to be a wise about them.
Yeah, I mean, if you give me the name of their people, I'll probably do it as that.
Yeah. So that's what they call themselves. I put that in the Zoom.
Okay, Solanos wise.
Yeah. So that's what they call themselves. You find out very quickly, and yeah, let's give it a roll. Let's see how we do here. It's fairly
I was going to say, what do you want me to roll? It's been that long since I learnt anything this way. I can't remember.
Can I
how it
help?
works.
Can I help with this?
hold on, King. Hold on.
I've got stuff. I got stuff.
That crown's gone to his head, man.
And I as well would offer any assistance, obviously, as we're having these conversations and walking and talking.
So we've got this. You put it down. It's a perception thing. Yeah, so you need to roll 4 times, then you'll get it unlocked. Okay, so what you do is you just press the die there on
Okay.
the being learned thing, and the obstacle is something I was going to dig up, and then we'll get to the helping.
Okay.
Oh no, I've got this thing in Roll20,
And
don't I?
obviously, my character's, why you're looking at my character's sort of rationale for this is that obviously he sort of like grew up in like the noble courts and whatever, and there's a very set way of like doing things. There's like protocol in the noble courts, but although he doesn't know what the protocol here is, he sort of understands there probably is one, and he's like, well, I know how much trouble you could get into in the noble courts if you sort of put your foot in it and you didn't really know what you were doing. So I want to try and find out what the lay of the land is, socially speaking, here, so we don't accidentally cause offence or anything like that.
I can, if I'm allowed to help, John. I have 2 applicable skills here.
Oh,
None of your skills apply.
my
unfortunately,
leash!
because We're not rolling a skill here.
I'll say it's an attribute.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, I was finally going to get to fuck into it. I've never got a chance to use.
So he can't get any help.
Not from skills,
right?
Not from
Oh, okay.
skills. From attributes, yes. Because
Oh, okay. Well, I
uh,
have a perception of 8, so I can definitely kick in if he wants.
Yeah.
Like,
So, I suppose, yeah, it's a sort of combined effort over the like more than 24 hours that you will have trekked through the swamp, during which you have ample time to talk.
we're gonna work these people over a little.
Yeah, so I do believe an attribute that high is going to give 2 extra dice, so 2 extra from our Dwarven friend. What's the king at vis-a-vis perception?
4.
4. So extra 3 on top of your thing there.
Okay.
It's going to be obstacle 2.
Which I presume will get doubled automatically.
Yeah,
because,
the sheet will take care of it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what? Call me a crazy leprous fool, but I'm going to put a persona into it.
And if this fails, there's going to be a like it's a moment of distraction which will result in an ambush on the way.
All right. Okay. Cool. Oh, that's base obstacle 2. Let's give it a go. Look at that, 7 successes.
Yeah.
Smashes it.
Yeah, and 4 6s as well.
Yeah. There you go. That's awesome.
It does make me laugh that even with that massive roll, you're still like, only another 3 to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you are quite successful. They don't appear to have a lot of, not necessarily a lot of reticence to, taking on board strangers. They sort of presume you figure that you are, it's like the chances are that you're pretty okay for random travelers because you knowingly came this far into the swamp, while they also recognize like this is all like you've learned about this stuff. You already heard previously that this place is regarded as dangerous by outsiders, and the people living here also regard this as a place where outsiders don't really go because it's very dangerous for them because they don't understand how to travel, how to interact with the local fauna and flora. So they are, well, they call themselves the Selenos, and they follow the poet, as was sort of referenced last time, I believe. They follow the poet, who they call Mayron. I'll put that in the chat. And they say that Mayron protects them from the darkness, but that they also protect the poet with their lives, which is sort of what the shrine wardens are kind of all about here.
Wheelmaster, will you also
Yep.
spell out the name of the people?
It's in the chat. Oh, I put that. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, never mind. It's on the. I got it. It's on his wise.
yeah.
Never mind. I'll
It's
take it
it's
from
also
that.
there in the chat now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we're travelling as well, because obviously I've got the whole thing where I don't really need to be worried about sinking into the swamp at any point. So I'll be trying to sort of like demonstrate my usefulness. Obviously, if we get to a point where we're like, oh, we need to find a safe path across this particularly marshy bit of the swamp, I can effectively take a big stick, just walk across it at no danger to myself, going like, sploosh, or don't step there, sploosh, don't step there, or that's solid, right, step here.
Yeah, and you find out as you propose this plan, and kind of by just observing people, the reason why they have so many pole arms and spears is, well, you can check things with your weapon. Very useful in this environment. So they give you one, and you you cause a lot of sort of wonderment because you just walk on the water.
And I think, to be honest, like from Ishmael's perspective, I'm probably sort of like starting to build like a sort of low level like admiration for these people, because obviously part of the whole reason Ishmael became like, I suppose, disgusted with like the noble courts is it was all like back dealing and backbiting and sort of underhand tactics and stuff like that. Whereas these people, even though they've got very different traditions, they seem to be quite sort of like open and honest about what their deal is. You know, they're not sort of like, they're not really trying to conceal anything. They're like, oh, with the Salanos, we follow the poet. This is what we do. You know, we live for the one, we die for the one. That sort of thing. But I think given his sort of like previous experience as like a warrior, where he was like fighting for a cause he believed in, I think even though he's obviously not religious anymore, he's lost his faith. He's probably starting to like admire these people, you know, for their not for their faith, but for their dedication to like something they believe in. Probably a little bit low key envious as well, because obviously he's sort of like seeing like, oh, you know, I used to be like that. I used to like fight for something I believed in. Now, not so much in terms of the god. Maybe that's why he's jumped on the King Cameron bandwagon so much. Because he's like, oh, someone I can believe in, the Sun King.
Yeah, I needed a purpose in my life, and now he's got one.
He was just missing a light. That's all he needed, a bit of light in his life.
Yeah, and then you conjured the moonlight crown. But yeah, they are quite open, as Ishmael has noted, and they sort of already clarify what you've seen and experienced by yourselves as well. The Pale One marauders seem to be looking for their shrines in the swamplands, and these people tell you that they think it's because they want to steal and destroy relics to obtain their power from the little shrines that they have.
Sounds oddly familiar. John, have you made a cult? Easy. Have you made a cult of?
Well, that's that video demonetized.
Have you made another cult of damned creatures?
I've made no such thing. How very dare you? That's a scurrilous rumor.
Oh yeah.
They've also mentioned that because they follow the poet, they tend to use that word. Whenever they say Mayron, they do a sort of like hand motion, like somatics, and that's they explain that's them sort of like miming the way that the word is written, more than, you know, like warding off spirits or whatever. But it's sort of like it's about writing in the air almost when someone says Mayron. And they've also clarified that neither the poet nor Mayron is the actual name, because the actual name itself is a killing word. They specifically say that it's a killing word because it is imbued with too much power to be spoken by any mortal being on this earth. So they call the this entity the poet, or Mayron.
Yeah. In a moment of like solitude Cameron's kind of wondering, did the Foxfires? Did he anticipate me coming here? Is this all part of the plan, or is this something Cameron actually did unexpected? Is this a surprise, or was this all just the path they always knew? But, so he sure as hell didn't think he'd be in a swamp this time last year.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just sort of ingratiate yourselves to these people, and Ishmael sort of makes, I suppose, a very good impression by being interested in helping at all, and also then being like, oh, I'll just walk on the water. I'll find I'll pathfind for you guys. Don't worry about it. They hit on well with Ishmael, and yeah, they're sort of like straight talking, like rather upstanding folk from what you can glean through a day plus long trek through a swamp.
And they live a hard life, a life that does not allow.
Yeah, they're my kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we're sort of travelling and we're talking to them, as well as trying to sort of absorb as much as I can about their culture, I'll also be trying to sort of play up, like the positive aspects of our culture and where we've got
I would
comparisons.
love to see from Ishmael's perspective. Oh yeah, so we believe in all these fake gods. And all these.
We're not saying your god's fake, but our god's fucking fake as shit.
Totally.
To be fair, I don't feel any need to like bring that up, because loads of people in our sort of society worship fake made up gods. The fact that they do as well doesn't make them any less, because like everyone seems to be doing it.
One thing I will have made a point of saying to Ishmael as well as we travel is, as I got distracted by my own recollection, is as long as it doesn't cause any consternation with our guide, feel free to collect any kind of samples for your herbalism endeavours. This is a rare opportunity for you to possibly cultivate some things while you're here.
That's an extremely good idea, my liege. In my conversations with the Salanos that we travel with, I will attempt to get them to educate me as to some of these plants, because many of them are of a type unfamiliar to me. This sort of landscape is not really a place I've explored before, and so prompted by the Sun King, I will as part of this, praise his name, as part of this this sort of conversation. Yeah, I'll also be sort of, as we're going, like occasionally just sort of like, if we see like, I don't know, like a plant or something like that, I'll be saying like, oh, what do you call that plant there? And trying to get from them, what sort of like tribal medicine, for want of a better term, they use, to see if I can sort of work out with my herbalism, like, oh yeah, it might be worth taking some of this for this, or etc.
Yeah, so that would be a wonderful herbalism roll. They will help you with that. So
I have herbalism and I can help.
So
that's a plant.
let's get herbal, boys.
Herbalism as well.
Yeah, let's get
No, I
the
have
herbs
alchemy.
out. So it's going to be identifying uncommon herbs is obstacle 3.
Okay, so I can get, presumably I'm getting like 1 dice from them.
Yeah.
Can I get a dice from Davron as well?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm all up in that.
I don't know if the Sun King ever sullies himself with the knowledge of herbs.
Earthly filth? No.
Okay, so just the 2 advantage dice. What are we looking at in terms of obstacle?
3 for uncommon herbs, which is what this is. And
3 successes.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I will say you've got, they point out a particular pool, which you note that the water is, it's considerably more clear in that pool as you go. This is probably like early morning. So the mists reveal this fairly clear pool, and they explain to you that the moss here is the reason why this particular pool is clearer than the rest of the water bodies that you've gone by, and that is because the moss itself is a powerful sort of
it purifies the water.
It purifies, yes. So
Yeah.
it has like strong purifying properties and can be made into quite potent healing salves as well. Like you crush that and you make it into a paste, apply that on wounds. It's good to go.
So I suppose effectively I'll be looking to get their guidance to take some samples of that, but obviously I don't want to like take too much and damage the environment, so I'll be like looking to them to how much I can take and how to safely gather it, and I'll basically be looking to like add some to like my herbalist kit effectively.
Yeah. So we'll say, and mark this down somewhere in your wherever you put that. But let's say because you get this additional material to your herbalism kit, we'll say that the first time you roll a 1 on using that, we're going to negate the first one, which is to say that that's like 1 additional charge, quote unquote, to use that, because it's when you use these things, you roll and we see if you have used up your stash. So we're going to nullify the first one because you've gathered additional good stuff here from the swamp. Yeah. All righty then. So it's a hard trek. There's these like moments of a little bit rest where maybe you stop by, you gather some of this moss. There's a chat where people are sort of working out where to go next and so on. But eventually, in the next evening, so the sun has come up and it has gone down before you reach your destination of Oranin, and they they call this place the Oranin, and they explain that it's the name means the poet's harbor. And by the time we've reached here, please everyone, let's make a fort obstacle 4 roll for just sheer exhaustion from having trekked through a swamp for over a day with no appreciable sleep.
Can I ask if I can have any bonus for the fact that I'm not continually like lifting my legs out of like the swampy water?
Oh yeah, you're not that troubled, so you can have an advantage die because you don't need to watch where you stand.
That's exactly. I'm just having a stroll.
Yeah.
So what do you say the obstacle was?
4.
4. Okay.
Oh boy. Why has it
got
got
a 6.
obstacle 5?
Clumsy ways. Oh, armor stuff, huh?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm going to re-roll that 6.
What the actual?
No.
Wow. We're just...
I'm jiggered, man. I'm a king and I'm exhausted. Carry me, my subjects. Jeez.
bring my palanquin.
I cannot believe I've just... it's my first roll of the day, man.
Fetch the royal beer.
So all that this means is by the time you get to the Poet's Harbor, you're just exhausted. And it's brutal. I don't know how long you've continuously trekked.
I'm 1 hour away from summoning a ghost.
After a couple of miles, I'd be like in real life, I'd be like, it's not worth it. Just leave me here.
I would, my family I love them.
I would like to, in character, justify my exhaustion, given the fact that I don't sink or anything. The fact that I've probably been like trying to help Cameron along.
Yeah.
So I've been like pulling him out of the mud and stuff like that, and trying to get him along. So like the extra sort of effort is probably what's tired me out. Also, I have the black lung.
Yeah. Also, I'm kind of a wreck.
Yeah.
Does this add to like our fatigue?
Yeah. So it doesn't.
Oh,
but so until you get a good long sleep, absolutely everything is going to be +1 obstacle just from.
That's just what
exhaustion.
I needed.
Mm-hmm.
So should we mark that off as fatigue or just?
Just keep it in mind. Whatever we do, we're going to put a +1 on the thing because
I can't wait.
Yeah, but you get there and the Selenos folks are sort of like slapping you on the back, so like, We made it. We made it, and we didn't get jumped by any more of those marauders. And
I know
yeah,
why.
you can tell that they're kind of feeling the weight as well. But yeah, it's bad for you guys.
I would have much rather have dealt with marauders. Oh,
I
I'm
sort
a
of
city son, you know this.
I sort of clasp the nearest guy on the shoulder, and I'm sort of like coughing a bit. You know, like the damp's like got to me because it's not particularly good for my like ruined lungs. And I'll be like, yes, sir. Here we are. It's been a long journey. Forgive me. I'm unused to the humidity. But I sort of like pat him on the back and try and like put a brave face on it.
If I never trek through another like mangrove swamp, it'll be too soon. That's what I'm gonna say. Listen, warm cot, corner of a room, anything. I just put my feet up, take the boots off, breathe. Maybe let Lucia, do a little nibbling. She loves a good nibbling.
This is a truly beautiful place, and I would have loved to have explored it in my youth before my health failed me. But we are what we are. There is no changing that.
So,
The king is tired.
The dwarf is tired.
We are tired. So we arrive in Oronin, the poet's harbor, and it is what seems to be an ancient city. It is half sunken into the swamp, the nearby river, and also a lake, which is there as well. Possibly because of the swamp, maybe because of the river. Maybe it was there all along. But
can I tell if this is human construction or if it's dwarven or elven?
It is a thing you can roll for if you would like to. It's not anything you've seen before. I will continue.
I am interested in great works and that kind of thing, so it is something that has kind of caught my eye.
Yeah. If you want to
ancient great works, yes.
I'd also like to make a cheeky roll on my training for Selenos wise by trying to get more information from them about it.
So
and relate it back to like what they told me earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a swamp now.
Oh, sorry.
But the ancient great works thing does give me a thing in studying ancient constructions, right? So I don't know if that applies.
Bring out the royal thing.
I have a quick question. Geographically speaking, is the waters of this area, because you said this is like, obviously has rivers running through it, lakes, pools, mangrove swamp, and all that. Is this a fork of the Great River?
Yeah.
So it's
not directly on the main body.
No, right,
but it gets kind of muddled because of the swamp here, and it's kind of a toss up between which one of these things was here first.
Right. Yeah.
Which has spread. Hard to tell now, but
so I was just wondering, because if I could apply my Great Rivers wise, which I'm trying to learn, just to kind of get a sense of like, how this connects back. If there are paths, obviously experienced riverboater here, so I'm trying to be like, hey, if I built a canoe today and I want to paddle out of here, like, where would I end up? Could it connect back up? That sort of thing.
Like, so and that you can get for free. Yeah, absolutely. You think if you got on the river, it's just a question of how long you're going. You'll end up on the Great River, in some place of it. And
if I had known this was here this whole time, I mean, this is like, my lord, my liege, this is like a secret port. Like, you could and that lake out there, you could probably build yourself some ships. You could hide your army out. This could be like a very strategical location. That's the word, right? Strategical, right?
This is correct. That's the
strategic.
Strategic. Thank you, Ishmael. Thank you. I don't know if you realize this, but you see that river over there?
Hmm.
If I don't, do you know about the Great Rivers very much?
I know they exist. I
Okay,
don't.
never mind that. Point is that they all connect to each other. They all connect. One way or the other, you end up where you want to be. It's kind of like how they used to say all roads lead to Dulceria. You remember that phrase? Yeah. It's kind of like that, but with the rivers. Yeah. All right. So what I'm saying here is like this could be like, I mean, you spruce it up a bit, maybe like, refortify those. I mean, look at that. Look at those walls over there. They're crumbling. Oh, God, my great grandpappy's grandpappy would be spinning in his grave if they had graves. Anyway, point being, a little work, maybe build a little bit of a dockyard over here. Build some ships. I mean, I got some designs. I got some stuff in my head right here. I mean, I'm just saying the possibilities here.
Is one of the things you mentioned you could bring to the table.
Oh, I bring all kinds of things to the table. I mean,
It's certainly a great idea. The only issue is this: while I am trying to represent all the disparate factions of humanity, such as
you
as
are the
strange that is to
restorer
say-
king, after all.
as strange as that is to say, I do not own this land. And
No. Obviously, we have to make a deal with the locals, the Selenos, but our buddy Ishmael here, he's been making pals all day, and I've been listening and picking up the pieces bit too here and there. So I mean, they sound like they need help. So we scratch their backs and they let us use their city as a military port. I'm just spitballing.
I only have so many hands. I cannot scratch everyone's back.
I think Davron makes a good point, though, my liege. Clearly, the people here require some aid, and they also have much to offer. I believe what Davron says is correct, that both of our societies each have their own problems, but perhaps coming together we could help each other resolve our mutual issues to all of our benefit.
Flame King's going to be everyone's problem here soon enough. So
that is true.
The sooner we take care of their problem and secure this alliance, the faster we can start pumping out the good stuff.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah.
I've just been thinking a lot, especially in the last few
carving
weeks,
some
of
wood, getting a mast
how
up.
my ancestors' reign is tinged with failure. This is going to be an uphill struggle.
Most of their ancestors were pretty good for humans. I mean, I wasn't there for it, but my grandpappy was there. I mean, they're humans, but they were very cool. That's a word we use in Allentown. It means like they were like, they gave us a square deal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which for us was a big deal at the time. History lesson for later. Point being, I
Sometimes
went down on your ancestors so much. I mean, the one, yeah, he seems to be a bit of a tyrannical lunatic, but the other ones, at least the ones we worked with they were all right.
Well, I did meet someone who, would you believe it, has met some of them, more than one.
I've seen weirder things.
Yeah, they kind of furrows his brow. Sometimes it feels very almost insurmountable what we're doing here, but I am going to try.
Wheelmaster, to what extent have the Selenos sort of like colonized Oronin? Like she said, like it's a crumbling sort of ancient city remnants. I mean, is it just like a small outpost here, or are they like all over it?
So let's get back to it. So ancient city, sort of half is is in the swamp. You get that
Yeah.
there may have been like an elevation difference at one point. Maybe the current like biggest structures were on like a little bit of a higher ground sometime in the past, and there are structures you can see that are just completely underwater as well. But sort of half of it still high up enough, either from the water or on relatively dry ground, that
So
you can, like, the whole structures are there.
The city as a whole has sort of like sunk into the swamp, and we're just seeing like the tops of the highest buildings now, so they're sticking out.
Not entirely, but like fully half
Like
of it is
half of it is like
Right,
kind
okay.
of lost.
the other half
to
of
the,
it is like
to the
up
water.
here. Yeah.
And there's some like tall buildings just jutting up from the water,
Okay.
where like a tower would be standing there in the lake.
There's a Greek city, an ancient Greek city that comes to mind that that if you go like to where it is today, like you go up to the waterfront and then suddenly you look down and you can see like the entirety of like the old ancient city that was like been like sunk into the sea because of various events. Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? A little bit, like, except swampier.
Yeah. And the buildings are quite cyclopean and broad. It's a distinct architectural style you haven't really seen in the rest of, I'm getting lost in my own terms here, guys. Well, Kaer Amoros and the area here, quite similar to Dulciriath in style and architecture. This is rather distinct, and it's mostly made from gray blue marble and draped over with either cultivated or just free growing trees, plants, and vines, because of the environment as well. There's elaborate details in glasswork throughout the city. You can see windows, the shrines that you passed as well earlier in the swamp, and just art pieces. They're quite plentiful, and they seem to be made from glass or maybe some kind of crystal, and they come in various different colors, and you can see people wearing ornaments like this as well. So like jewelry is sort of like glass crystal based, seems like, from your initial survey. Yeah.
So as a dwarf who appreciates the stone and the glass and the architecture, do I find it to be beautiful?
Yeah.
Do I find it to be arousing my covetous nature?
Depending on how we look at that, these are like you're not going to necessarily walk into a city and lust after every earring, right?
No, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah,
but the city itself is like the whole city and like the area, the potential of it is almost like I'm seeing potential, I'm hearing dollar sign, the cha-chings in my ear.
Yeah, not a lot of people do like focus on glass for one, so
especially humans, right?
Yeah, so that's the sort of layout here. And to answer your question, Ishmael, they seem to be occupying as much of it as they can, including you can see fires or some kind of lights on in those buildings that just jut up from the water as well, like the pieces that are above the water. You can see lights there. So they're apparently making use of as much of it as they can. Also, there's a whole bunch of boats, sort of medium-sized to small, around here as well. Yeah, so that is as well. It's nighttime here, so it's fairly dark. The swamp sounds, the buzzing of various life in the swamp, the croaking of various creatures as well. You note that there's places here where it almost seems like the water itself is like slightly luminescent in like a cyan, like soft cyan glow a little bit. You think you can see like drifts of it every now and then in the water, but it's not like like it's not fully like underlit or anything, but you can see like, oh, that draft was like softly luminescent.
I think I'm definitely going to ask the Salanos that we came here with about that, because I'll be assuming, rightly or wrongly, that it's some sort of plant with some sort of phosphorescence, like that's under the water that's causing that. And obviously, I'm into the herbalism. I'm very interested in that. I mean, I'm already thinking like, oh, what potential properties could such a miraculous plant have? So I'll be trying to get the lowdown on that from the Salanos, whether it is a plant, whether it's some weird magical effect.
Yeah, I'd start babbling about, essentially bioluminescent algae and mosses that we have back home in the deep caverns and the mountains, in the shimmering spikes, which is where Alantine is, or Kesperaz is located. And sort of kind of comparing the two and being, just generally chatty, like I do.
You'll get a brief mention that yes, there's all kinds of wonderful plants in the water, but the effect, which is quite apparent during night, especially, it's mostly due to something called the well, and they gesture to this like a large, almost like a palace style structure, sort of higher up on the dry land. They explain that the effect is because of the well that is in there, and it is largely because of the well that the plants are wondrous as well. And
your kingly majesty, I think this well is probably more in your area of expertise.
There's probably something down there, something unique.
Yeah, I imagine there's some hoodoo going on there. Yeah,
I'll say to the Salanos, is it, if it would not offend your people, is it possible that my liege and our companions might be permitted to look upon this well?
So one of the, let's pull up a name for this person. So we're gonna say that you're the person you've got most of your comments from has been called Belagorn, and Belagorn saying that it's not impossible, but you would have to get permission from the speaker before going there, because that is where Mayron resides, and we safeguard the poet.
Well, we do not wish to disrespect your traditions, since we are guests in your land, but if it were possible for us to converse with your speaker, we would. And I'm sure my liege, who is very knowledgeable about matters beyond the kind of normal man, I'm sure he would be extremely grateful for a chance to gaze upon such a wonder.
I would if it
nods.
is permitted.
Also, Belagorn, I'd quite like to acquire you as a circle.
You will have ample opportunity, he says.
Splendid.
Belagorn says, who shall I say is is coming to meet the speaker?
That would be King Cameron, the Restorer King.
And his retinue.
Very well. Please. And you're taken to sort of, you know, those restaurants / bars where like one entire wall is basically open to whatever passes, like a promenade.
Yeah.
So there's one of those places. It's kind of like a I don't know, cafe, like tea house type deal. You can get like Belagorn takes you there, you know, gets you something to eat because it's been a rough time getting here. So you get a little bit to eat while Belagorn goes and goes to talk to the speaker. Yeah. And we'll jump right there unless there's anything you want to do by your lonesome there. But it seems like they don't really, like, there's no attaché sort of watching you. They're sort of like, you can still see your sort of traveling companions milling about, starting to slowly disperse as they made it back home and whatnot. But yeah, there's no one, you know, like keeping an eye on you per se.
I'm just going to study the stonework for the time being.
I think in
See if I
terms
can
of
piece together anything.
I think in terms of what Ishmael's doing, I'm assuming rightly or wrongly that this speaker is effectively some sort of like tribal elder or some sort of senior person. I'm basically, while we're waiting, and I said there's a lot of the other like Salanos around their people, I'm going to see if like there's any other sort of elders. 'Cause I assume that since we were sort of with a hunting party, like the elders, whatever they are, wouldn't have been with them. Whereas now we're here, there might be some more senior people. So obviously I've got the sort of like, these are the current affairs from the Salanos, and I want to try and find some of their older sort of potentially more long-lived or learned people to basically start getting a bit more of like the background and the history of their people, rather than just like, oh, we survive in the swamp and we follow the path, like the actual sort of like history as far as they remember it. 'Cause I'm assuming they've got like an oral tradition of like passing things down.
So that also sounds like a circles roll that you could go for, or a wise roll.
Yeah, it's more the wise role I was thinking.
Okay, so what that would then be like, you're chatting up some of the old timers around this place while you're waiting.
Yeah, I'm basically I'm trying to do the thing where like I'll be sort of talking to them and I'll be like trying to like tell them some of like my old war stories about like the old days. So like back in my youth before I was like the wreck that I am now, and also basically trying to use that to like lead them to talk about like the older days when they were sort of youthful members of the tribe, effectively.
Right. Okay. Let's see. What do we go for? Pulling up the thing here. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's super hard. So let's go with an obstacle 1.
Okay.
For this.
Do you know what? I'll chuck a Poseidon into it. Why not? Oh, the dice 1. Base obstacle. Did you say 2?
One.
Oh yeah, and it'll double up to 2. Yeah. Boom.
There we go.
Stick another dot on that.
Oh, 3 ones.
I'm glad I spent that Poseidon point. Let's put it that way.
Right. So you get some of the old timers talking, and you rather quickly realize that some of these people are pushing like 150 maybe, and they seem to credit their lives, the length of it, the vibrancy that they still, because they're not like barely held together pieces of leather and bone. They're sort of like gracefully going into their twilight years, and they credit this to basically the blessings of the poet and the well. And they've got a lot of stories about traveling in the swamp, out of the swamp. That's where they think the juicy bits are, because they go to I think one of them maybe talks to you about like a delegation that they went on to meet the newly crowned king of, and this is the name that I was blanking on earlier. The place that we're in right now, Dorothea.
Dorothea, yeah.
So they one of these elders was in a delegation that went to see the newly crowned king Rovator of Dorothea when he was young, like when he was a teenager when he got the crown. And they went there to do the traditional greeting of their people to the king, whose like domain they ostensibly live in, but the Dorothea doesn't aggressively interfere in their affairs. So it's sort of like weird, like autonomous by implication area that they seem to have going on here. But they talk to you about this, like, we basically, it's a story about when we went to the big city.
Yeah.
like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll be quite happily listening to this, because not so much because of the story they're telling, because like I said, obviously I know what the city's like, but the sort of way they're telling it, I'm sort of trying to get their like viewpoint to tell me a bit more about them. And as they're talking, I'll be sort of, as I'm sort of joining in, I'll be trying to basically imply that, oh yeah, well, obviously, as you say, like the old king of Dorothea, he sort of knew that your people were sort of in charge of this area, and he like let you do your own thing. And I'm going to be trying to imply that obviously when like King Cameron sort of assumes his rightful place aboard his throne of shining purest sunlight, that obviously he will also be seeking to respect the individual sovereignty and territories of the people that are within the domain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I already got assurances from him and everything.
Yeah, I'm basically trying to plant in their mind that, like, oh, you remember this king that you sort of respected, and he was like, he did all right by you, and he let you do your own thing. I'm basically trying to associate Cameron with that. So like when they hear Cameron, they'll be like, oh yeah, he's going to be like that. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, you get the same question as you got from the people that you met in the swamps. It's like, oh, is Robotor finally deceased then? I guess. Is this the new king?
No. So like, it's even better than that. Robotor, he's still around, but Robotor is gonna be answering to King Cameron. King Cameron's the overlord. You know what an overlord is, right?
He is the king of kings.
King of kings, yeah.
There is,
exactly.
Because I'm going to hazard a guess that they know what prophecies are. Given that, I'm going to say there is amongst the many human kingdoms, there is an ancient prophecy about a crown which once the king of kings amongst the human kingdoms wore, and it marked him as the highest of all kings, set above all other men, and through fate, destiny, call it what you will, this crown has come into the possession of King Cameron. It is, and if prophecy is to be believed, I mean, I am not wise enough to say what is prophecy and what is simple coincidence, but if you believe in prophecy, then it is only a matter of time before King Cameron takes his rightful place, ruling over the other kings. But as I have said, when he does so, he has the greatest of respect for all of the people within the various domains, the kingdoms of humanity.
And as a non-human member
and outside, of course,
said domain, I have to say he's been very generous so far. about his time to his constituents. Subjects. So
Indeed, Davrin is
it's
correct.
a square deal. It is a square deal signing up.
The
Get on the
desire
ground
of
floor is what I'm trying to say, though. Get on the ground floor because you're going to get a better deal now than if we have to come back later and we were already taking over the rest of it. And trust me, now's the time.
The desire of the king is to, as the crown is prophesied to do, is to focus on those things that all of the good and civilized races, whether human, mountain folk, forest folk, that we all possess in common, and focus on what unites us rather than what pulls us apart. For in the future, again, if prophecy is to be believed, there are many great dangers that all of the free peoples of this world must unite against if we are to survive and prosper in the future. And we all have something unique that we can contribute.
We all have a part to play.
Quite so.
And the Restorer King is going to lead us to this brighter future that Ishmael's speaking about. But he needs a little help from his friends, constituents, subjects, whichever you prefer.
I think some of them probably have stories about the previous time this happened. Like, oh yeah, there was a guy, you remember, back like 80 years ago. He was real big on, resurrecting the old kingdom, and they got him.
Yes, but that guy did not have the crown.
Besides, the desire of the king is not to make all humans the same one, nor all dwarves, I gesture at Darwin, or elves exactly the same. Rather, that all of the different peoples, whilst maintaining what makes them different, we should all come together for a common cause, since we each have our strengths with which we can use to shore up the weaknesses of our fellows and help support them. For instance, the place where I was born, much as I have a great love for the country, it was not without its flaws, but it also had great strengths in its people. And it has been my observation that most places in this world are the same. No place is 100% perfect, but through coming together, we can maximize our strengths and we can help lift each other up where otherwise we might fall.
Yeah, no, we have a grand old time sharing stories, and also the promises of a better tomorrow with the Sun King leading the people.
That's right, Ishmael's PR agency.
As Ishmael, of course, is evangelizing the glorious Sun King.
Praise his name.
What Davrin would like to do is, especially with the old timers who are, even a little older than he is, he'd like to sort of maybe pull some of them aside and have a couple of words, basically asking them, so what is it that you need from our glorious Restorer King? Because, we noticed on the way in that your swamp has become not so safe.
Yeah, so it's basically just throwing off the marauders that are now currently harrying them. But other than that, there's no list that comes out like, oh, these things we need to address. It's about the marauders trying to get to the swamp. Some of the old timers think that the ultimate goal of the marauders, forget the shrines, they're just doing that because that's on the way here, and they want to come here and they want to kill the poets. And yeah, actually, yes. While you're talking about this, there's a note that I have here. So you get the idea from now that you got to talking, like, what do you need? It appears there's maybe been some internal tension, and some of the Selenos have departed, is the word that they use, and the implication is that they might have gone and joined up with the Marauders. Which is when the conversation dies immediately, and people find that it's probably time to go home.
Oh, well, have a great evening. Appreciate the conversation. Hope to talk again soon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look around for Ishmael as I kind of meander back to our retinue. Ishmael.
Yes, sorry, I was just behind that bush visiting the little Knights Templar's room.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
It's and I sort of hold up one of my like twisted hands. It's I'm sorry it took so long. You don't need to know.
I find the broad leaves work the best. Anyway, look, quick thing, just
yes.
Status update, and little intelligence report. Things aren't going so well for these Selenos here. These Marauders, they seem to be making a beeline for this well and this poet, and they want to presumably eat him, I'm guessing, or something.
Well, that would make sense. They seem to be suggesting that these Marauders were trying to take possession or despoil their most valuable artifacts, and if this well is what they say it is, it would only make sense that is possibly their ultimate aim. And I lean in a little bit to Davron and I say, it strikes me that perhaps if we were to help defend this place against the Marauders,
I'm already ahead of you on that one.
Splendid.
But slight small caveat. It seems like not all the Selenos agree with the whole, stand and defending the well with their lives thing or whatever. There seems to have been like a minor schism.
That does not surprise me.
Kind of ran off and joined these Marauders. They got very touchy about that when it came up. I didn't learn too much more, but
that doesn't surprise me, Davron. In my time fighting during the Holy Wars, it is very difficult to know what the reaction of a man will be until he is actually on the line fighting. There were
you humans have a very how shall I say this politely, fickle sense of loyalty, we'll say. But
I don't necessarily believe it's that, but it's difficult to know what will happen to the courage of a person until it is tested. In my time fighting in the wars, I saw brave, well-practiced fighting men face their first real battle and turn tail and run, whereas ostensibly weaker men, those who had no combat training, would grip their spears and stand their ground in the face of overwhelming odds. It is difficult to know how a person will react until they are tested.
Well, that just meant that the weaker man was stronger of spirit.
Indeed. Unfortunately, as I said,
knew where their honor lay.
the spirit of a man is difficult to know until it has been put to the test.
Are very mercurial like that. Us dwarves are far simpler. Honor, loyalty, duty, family.
Indeed. Whereas there are those amongst humanity like myself who value such things highly. We have a wider variety of people. There are those who who do not place such a great value on such
Oh,
ideals.
I know it. I've been dealing with you humans since I could walk around. I mean,
Indeed.
well, look, I'm with you on this whole marauder business, and besides, these pale ones are bad news anyway.
Yes.
I mean, my granddad used to tell us stories about them coming in the night and snatching us away and gobbling us up, and we hide under our covers, convinced that they were going to pop out from under the closets. But I've never actually seen one until I came down south here, and I'm sort of surprised that they're here. But
if we're talking about potentially defending the well, perhaps we should take this to the king and see what he has to say on the matter.
I mean,
like stroking the stonework, trying to get to.
we're walking, talking as we do this. I'd imagine, Ishmael, but Davern will say, "Yeah, defending with how many guys we got? A dozen soldiers,
yes.
And the king, of course, has got great powers. And I am fabulous. I know, probably worth at least 100 of yous, but if these things show up in force, look around you. It's not exactly a fortress.
Indeed, but
give me a dozen dwarves in a few days. We could probably do something with it, but
Indeed, given that some of the city remains above water, though, we would not be facing them on an open battlefield.
Have you done much house-to-house fighting?
It would not be the first time I've fought in a city. Let me put it that way.
So you know that gets pretty hairy.
It does, but against, I'm assuming, a numerically superior force. If we can break down that force and harry them through the streets, rather than face them in open battle.
I do have some ideas how we can make that effective.
Indeed, we could also set traps. Your prodigious archery skill would also help.
Well, it's either prepare for a siege or go out and find the enemy themselves. I guess we have to figure out which one we want to do.
Indeed.
As you say, we should speak to the king because it's ultimately going to be his call. But
yeah, and we'll be sort of saying this as we approach the king, who's looking at the stone, oh.
Is there? So what's the king doing?
I've been examining the stonework. I've been. I want to speak to the elder, but I'm not in a rush right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the world's in a rush. I'm on the clock, but I also need to show patience to these people because they're not of our ways. So I've been examining, trying to figure out what I can. Maybe this is a city that I know of, or just maybe it's a place displaced from time. Maybe it's somewhere that I've heard of, but because it's so buried and forgotten that the name is hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a tourist information board. Maybe you are here.
I imagine as we sort of get to King Cameron, I'll be sort of saying to Davron as we walk over, and well, if we should come to fighting in the back alleys of this flooded city, then I do have some experience in that matter.
Oh, hey, back alleys are where I live, but
and I'll say, my leisure, we were just discussing potentially aiding these people, the Salanos, to defend this place and their well from these marauders that seem to be desiring to encroach on it, and we'll relate everything to Cameron that we've just been talking about.
They seem like they're coming, boss. So
this place doesn't have what I would call strict borders. It's more a vague guideline between these and these people. I did face creatures similar to this deep below the earth.
My liege, if there's one thing I have learnt during my previous career as a warrior, It's that borders are just simply lines drawn on a map.
Yeah.
All that matters is what's actually going on the ground and who holds the pen.
Who holds the territory? Yeah.
Indeed.
I've read my studies, and our neighborhood-friendly war master has been trying to teach me some pointers.
Indeed.
Aggressively so, but
Yes, I've likewise sought his particular brand of wisdom before we left. But as myself and Davron were discussing, it strikes us that if we were able to help defend this place against the marauders, that would certainly stand us in very good stead with the Salanos people.
I have had a few ideas what I could do for them in the meantime.
I mean, surely given the potential guerrilla nature of this, of any fight that would take place in the flooded city, Davron's prodigious archery skills, and your esteemed abilities, Malige, surely we would be able to triumph against these marauders if we were to draw the combat into the flooded city and take advantage of the terrain to split up their force.
We should go on the offensive, Ishmael?
Not at all, my liege. I'm suggesting that whilst we have time, we prepare as much of the city as we can. Mm-hmm. We make a gauntlet, if you will, for these marauders, so that when they enter, they are bedeviled by traps, deadfalls, the like, so that by the time they reach the area where our men are, they are already tired, exhausted, and that is when we strike and close the trap on them.
That's and we should do this while we are here. We should
essentially funnel them into some sort of a kill zone, if possible.
Yes.
Well, there are key pieces of information we miss, Ishmael, that I would like answers to, but I do not always get what I want. For instance, this place. I do not like things that I do not know, and there's many things I do not know.
Such is the nature of the world, my liege.
But what I was considering, I could summon spirits here to protect this place, and they would need neither food, nor water, no sleep. They would be the perfect bodyguards. However,
my liege, I beg your indulgence and apologise for interrupting you. If you have already demonstrated with our War Master that we spoke of, you have already demonstrated that you can. I mean, you have summoned forth the very spirit of an ancient ancestor of mine.
Oh, that was a trifle thing.
Indeed, I saw the ease with which you accomplished it, and he has blessed me beyond all my hopes. Mm. Would it, given that the respect that these people seem to pay to their elders and their traditions, can you imagine how much of a moving sight it would be if, when these marauders attacked, the very spirits of their ancestors rose up to aid in the defence of this place? In answer to your call, my liege.
Yes, yeah, you make excellent points, Ishmael. But the problem we have, this is summoner lesson 3. I will one day make a summoner out of you all. Is that when you summon, the location is important. Okay.
Well, you could not ask for a better location to summon.
But I do not know
what
this place is. I do not know what I draw forth if I summon here. That is the problem.
Hopefully, we will discover that when we meet with the speaker and when we hopefully look upon the well.
For instance, history can be cruel, Ishmael. What if this place is the scene of a great battle where my ancestors cut down these people in their thousands, and I summoned forth such a person who proudly proclaims that I am from a family of butchers, which is not entirely untrue.
I suspect, my liege, that it will soon be the site of a great battle, regardless of history.
So I should be careful, cautious about what I draw upon if I do not know the place. I tried such a thing in the bowels of the earth with a friend of mine, seeking the crown, and it did not go the way I expected.
Perhaps not, my liege, but do you not now possess the crown?
I think what His Majesty is saying is the hoodoo is a fickle thing. and that best not to rely on it.
That's an oversimplification, but
I
it's not entirely wrong.
I cannot even attempt to understand the forces that His Majesty possesses. I'm a, or rather, I was a simple soldier, but we know from what the Selenos have told us that they believe this place is central to the poet, their tribal protector, their god, whatever you wish to call it. You know, my liege, that I have no faith in such things, but if it were possible for anyone to reach out and ask the aid of such a force to help its people, then I would believe that you are the person who could send out that call. And if the spirits of their ancestors rising to help them would move them, imagine how they would be moved were the poet itself to make its presence felt, to help push back this tide of marauders.
This place is old, though, Ishmael.
It may very well be.
Really old, like Dulciriath,
we want to
possibly even pre-Dulciriath.
Discuss this with their speaker, because he might be able to elucidate the situation for us.
Indeed, this is all, as Davron rightly said, this is all so much conjecture until we can meet with the speaker. But I merely mention it because it may be something worth bearing in mind. Your Majesty has another potential string to our bow, so to speak, if we do wish to help these people defend this place against the marauders. And speaking personally for myself, I would very much like to help these people. I find much that is honest and admirable in them, whereas these marauders seem barbaric destroyers simply seeking to grasp and take what is not theirs.
Yeah, the pale ones aren't good news.
So I would very much like to help. As I've got to know these people, I would very much like to help them as much as we can. But of course, I have pledged my loyalty to yourself, my liege. So whatever you believe is best, I will of course follow.
We shall help them. We shall do what we can. We are here.
Thank you, my king.
We are here to help, not to hinder. However, before we head to the speaker, Darvin, I you must forgive my ignorance. But when I had a friend, like I said, you say Glavi, of course, you know Glavi.
Yes, Glavi.
He used to tell me things, and maybe I'm misunderstanding things he told me, but he used to tell me that he could speak to the stone.
Yeah.
Thing? Is that a thing that is that? I don't know if that was a Glavia thing.
So
is this the thing?
So like, okay, so brief ancient history lesson on dwarves. So we were created by the Shaper. That's what we call it, and the Shaper made us, imbued us with life, and you call it magic. We have different words for it, but essentially the creative essence of the universe.
I like to think while you're saying this, Davron, like obviously Ishmael doesn't say anything, but you can almost like hear his eyes like rolling as you're like, the Shaper is like.
So every dwarf is magical, so to speak. Yeah. Right. Okay. But each of us has different skills, let's say, ways that it manifests.
Can you tell me anything of this stone? Can you?
Unfortunately, stone talk is not one of my specialities. Again, I'm a med skipper. I spent most of my life on the water.
No, that's I didn't want to assume that this was something that.
Yeah, my particular talents manifest more in the gift of the gab. Let's say you put me in a room, or you wanted me to figure out a bargain. I mean, I'm there, but I mean, Glavia has much to teach us, I believe, and only we knew where he was right about now. That would be great.
Where fate wills him to be.
Well, hopefully it'll will him to just appear before us and be like, "Hey, destiny rides on my shoulders. Let's go inspire." Never mind. We have a whole. It's cultural.
We will get to my friend.
Yeah. No, let's kill pale ones first. And,
I guess the mysteries of the stone shall elude me for the moment. Let's go see the speaker. See what we can do for them. Interesting. I still cannot verify if this is human work, elven work. Maybe something else. As I walk off. Split.
So, presuming we're gonna go, try and talk to the speaker, we're gonna smash cut to a
16 hours rest.
So smaller. Are you doing it right now? Are you going to try and see the speaker now?
I mean, if rest is possible first, yes, but if not, speaker it up, baby. Let's do it.
I kind of feel like we're here, we've arrived. Speaking to their leader is probably like
I'm just
thinking,
if I have to make an inevitable roll, I'm going to shank
in their
myself
town.
even harder. But
Yeah, I think we should probably speak to him now. I mean, in character, I'll be like, nothing's happening in a minute. We can obviously get a rest afterwards. Obviously, out of character, we suspect some stuff might go down. But
I hope my dice are uncharacteristically generous to me in a minute then.
Well, we could always save the hardcore negotiations for after our nap.
Yeah,
but, we should at least introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we're not saying that you've got to talk to the speaker and then immediately be like, I must summon your god now. If we get to the point where the speaker's like, summoning the poet, that's fine. We could always be like, I need to rest and recover my energies for the trials ahead.
So we're going now to the speaker.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's just what I need is -1 to all my dice. Ding.
It's +1 to the obstacle. Your dice are fine.
Okay,
that's fine. Obstacles not.
So we're at a smaller building next to this sort of broad palatial construction, sort of on drier ground, and this one's like a small tower type structure, which as you enter, you very quickly notice, because of what's covering the walls, that this seems more or less to be a library ? Or at least like a repository of
books,
of written works. So there's books, scrolls all over the shelves, lining basically all the walls. Yeah.
Just out of interest, obviously we see these books and scrolls and whatever. So we know this is on dry ground, but it's in a fairly moisture-rich environment. It's in a swamp. Can we get, just by looking at them, can we get some idea? Have they got moss growing on them, or they crumbling to bits, or do they look like pretty good condition?
They look in fairly good condition. There's a couple that are a little bit worse for the wear, but yeah, it's there's some different materials on display. There's maybe some stone slabs, that kind of thing, but the written works, given the environment, given that they don't really this isn't like a contained sort of isolated area, it's probably something a little bit more mystical that's keeping them in good order.
Okay.
My probably be in worse state.
My next question is going to be the books. Do any of them have titles or writings on the spines we can see? And would any of us understand any of the writing?
No one speaks or reads Elven, right? No one's got the Elven script?
Nope.
What was it? Yeah. No. So yeah, the answer is negative. Right, but yeah, you're taking to this like tower library thing that is like a very short walk away from the palatial building that you've been told that the well is in and where the poet resides. And your boy Belagorn has taken you there, is there present as well. The speaker seems to be a rather old woman who is sat behind an enormous writing desk. Ostensibly, there's all the accoutrement of a sort of like scholarly profession laid out on the table. There's scrolls, a couple of open books, that sort of thing, and it's in the night or like late evening. So there's a couple of lanterns there. There's a couple of candles going as well as you enter, and the speaker, all like white hair in a giant braid on one side, takes off these very fancy like filigree reading glasses, fine glasswork once again, puts them on the table and nods at you, says something in presumably Elven that sounds like a greeting, and she switches to the tongue that you also can understand. Heavy accents, much like most of the rest of these people. It's not their native tongue. She says, "We bid you welcome to the Poet's Harbour, strangers from distant lands. I've been told that your journey was difficult, but that you stood up for one of ours. So
I'm going to do in response to that, I'm going to do like a respectful like bow, but I'm going to make sure I'm still like a step or two behind Cameron, because obviously he's the king. I'm going to stay quiet, giving him the opportunity to speak, but I'm just going to do a respectful bow when she does a great thing.
We are strangers in a strange land. We gave what aid we could on meeting one of your people. I'm sorry we cannot do more for them. I have encountered these pale creatures some time ago, and I know how ferocious they can be and relentless. I am Cameron, king of the the free people, I guess. Still learning that title. The
King of Men,
King of
specifically,
men. Men. I reach out a hand to shake. It is customary for two dignitaries to shake on meeting in my culture. I reach out a hand.
She shakes your hand.
Have I, with my sort of like wise I'm learning and that talking I've done with them, have I learned enough to like know what their greeting is? Because we've met a few groups of them.
Yeah. They don't shake hands or anything. It seems verbal. They use verbal greetings when they meet each other. So it's in languages that you don't understand.
So after sort of King Cameron's done his like shake hands, this is our tradition. I'm gonna basically. I'm probably not going to make a great job of it because I'm not a linguist, but I'm going to try and like repeat one of the greetings that I've heard. Their sort of groups giving. Yeah. Yep.
She smiles and says, "Your attempt is noted and appreciated for what it is. I am being told that you've implied that you are, how shall I put this? You dream of a return to older days? Would that be accurate?
New days, but with a united people. I do not intend to make the mistakes of my forebears.
Well,
But I do
pres-
respect your people's sovereignty.
well, in whatever business you will have with King Robotor of Dorothea, that is, I think, perhaps yours to deal with. And if King Robotor still oversees these lands, I do not think anything needs to change. We appreciate you making yourself known to us as well. And we dearly hope that Robotor is aware of you as well.
This is the king that's passed, isn't it? This is definitely the one that's...
He's the king of Dorcea.
Yeah, this is the king of Dorothea, also including Keramaros, because Keramaros is in Dorothea.
Is this guy still around? Or is he long past?
Oh, they call him Old Robotor, so he's like an old dude in the capital, still alive.
Is this the one that I haven't?
Yeah.
Is this the one I haven't gone to see yet?
No, that's in a different city entirely.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
haven't gone to Dorcea.
Yeah,
Period.
we haven't been to the capital at all.
Well,
yeah.
But you haven't talked to Lady Morgason in Keramaros
Yeah,
either.
I know, but you know, she could have come and see me. You know what I'm saying? She
Currently,
knows
you're
where
a bandit lord, basically.
I was.
Yeah, it seems like we're going in a weird order here, but
I believe officially it's called the Sun Bandit.
I stole
You'll
the sword, I'm
find
not
that
giving it
on
back.
the black placard.
Well, I made a pledge to. The reason I am bearing this task is I made a pledge to unite all the men, women of humanity against what is coming. You may not be aware of what.
Oh, we are.
You are.
He nods.
Okay, well that makes my explanation a lot simpler. I come with.
you don't
views
seem
and that.
overly worried about the encroaching darkness that's coming to eat us all. You don't mind me saying.
It is not the first time.
It may be the
And,
last.
Of course, it hasn't been the first time. It happens periodically.
Yes, darkness is ever present. We have faced many a time various emissaries of it, and it is always a tragedy. There's always misery, and all that we can do is stand by the poet, stand by the well, and do our part from here. There's you are well positioned to, I think, given your aspirations, to perhaps rally other parts of the world. We, of course, will do our part. It is all that we have ever done.
So I do not need to convince you to help us.
A question, yeah, no. You see, my liege here is just he's skipping a quick step there. If you don't mind me interrupting,
Please,
Your
I
Majesty.
said I appreciate your counsel. And
what is it exactly that you see as your part? Because that's a very vague statement.
We protect this place, which is something we have done since time immemorial and something we must continue to do. The darkness must not reach here.
Speaker, I hope you will forgive me for interrupting, but we've been spending time with your people, and they seem greatly concerned from the growing threat of the marauders that seem to be attempting to seize the items of worship that are valuable to you, and they seem to be making their way towards this place, perhaps in the hope that they would take the seat of your worship. It is ours and the wish of my liege that we might be able to help you defend this place against those marauders. Since as you've, if what you say is true, and I have no reason to doubt your word, that this place is of great importance for the overall preservation of the world, then
yes.
it would seem that the just and right thing for us to do, even were it not for the hospitality and kindness your people have shown us, it would be the right thing for us to do, to stay here and help for a time and help defend this place against the marauders, so that you are not bedeviled by them when it comes to doing your part in the events of the future.
This is something, if you wish to swear yourself to this task, this is something that would no doubt be of value to us, but you will have to speak to the poet.
We can converse with the poet. That's something we can do.
This is the primary purpose of your visit here, is it not?
At this point, I'm going to be unable to help myself but like break in for obvious reasons. And I'm say again, speaker, forgive me. I sincerely wish you or your faith, disrespect, but I am not a man of faith. I have had no truck with gods or divinities for quite some time. I would not wish to offend your poet with my presence if that is going to cause an issue. Again, I wish no disrespect to your people nor your beliefs, but they are not beliefs that I can share.
Yeah, he's got a problem with the whole gods are actually real thing. Like, I think it's because his god is like maybe a fantasy. I'm not really sure. Human religions aren't my thing.
Davrin, it is not that I do not believe powerful entities that we call gods exist. It is that I have no faith in them to do what is right or to act like the deities that they are supposed to be. I've seen too much blood and death in my time to believe in the sanctity of deities.
That might be an interpretation issue on your side of things, and not necessarily an issue with the entity themselves. Anyway, I don't mean to turn this into a religious debate.
Yeah, she smiles.
I mean, all I know is the Shaper is very real, or else I wouldn't be here. So there you go.
Indeed, and as I've said, I wish no disrespect to these people's beliefs. However, if my presence, because of this is why I'm mentioning it, because of my lack of faith, would cause an issue with conversing with the poet, then I would remove myself
by you not believing in it, even though it's standing right there in front of you. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Speaker.
Whatever reservations you may have are not an issue.
I'm pleased to hear it. That is all I wish to ensure, since, as I've said, I do not wish to inadvertently, in my ignorance, cause offence to either you or your people.
He is extremely polite. You might even call it chivalrous.
I think even Ishmael will chuckle when he says that.
So this poet is an enemy of the darkness, a adversary such as myself of the darkness.
I would, and perhaps the poet as well, would prefer to say that the darkness is our enemy. We wish for no violence, no wars, no bloodshed, but that is what the darkness brings upon us, and that is the mantle that we pick up when necessary to defend the well and the poet.
Indeed, I also wish that it were possible to accomplish all of these things that we set out to without the need of bloodshed or death, but
war is bad for business.
Sadly, I fear that is that is not the case, but I too dream of a day when we can all lay down our swords and our arms and live in a more peaceful world. And that is why I have pledged my loyalty to King Cameron. I believe he is the one to usher in such a golden age.
Well, you speak in grand promises, and while I don't mean to, as you've so often highlighted, we do not wish to slight you, but you must understand, you are also not the first to speak these things, and there are many follies that you have already sidestepped in your pursuit of this, no doubt. And this is why I would, and she gives a look to Belagorn, who nods at her. She says, and this is why I would give you permission to have an audience with the poet. If you speak true, you have spoken of your ambitions for the world, your desire for a better world, if such can be made, and this is something that I would think the poet would find intriguing, if not directly desirable and acceptable.
If we can't have faith in a better world being possible, then what's the point of living?
Wise words, Davron, wise words.
I will be here, she says, and chuckles a little bit, as if to say and highlight, where am I gonna go in my old days? I will remain here. Belagorn will be glad to escort you to the poet if you wish to speak.
I for one would love to meet one of these human gods that's floating around. It's a rare opportunity for one such as myself.
It would be remiss of me to decline such an offer freely given.
Where my king leads, I will follow.
There are a few other things I would like to discuss with you, more mundane matters, I suppose.
She nods.
Perhaps, my liege, we should speak with the poet first.
Speak with the god first.
Indeed, I would also relish the opportunity afterwards to return and converse more with the speaker about her people. But as Davron says, perhaps attending to speaking to the poet first.
Master Belagorn, would you lead on?
And you depart from the speaker's little tower library, and yeah,
Cameron's doing some like cosmological myth like
the math.
So if it could be just a really old creature, that's cool. It could be some kind of really powerful corporeal spirit, but those don't tend to stick around for too long.
Hey, it could be a grandpappy.
Honestly, the thug. Oh, if I walk in and he goes,
"Hey!" Yeah, he's just gonna be there in a smoking jacket, like, "Welcome."
Yeah, that with a pipe sitting in an armchair, like,
yeah.
oh, look what the fox dragged in.
No, you know what there'll be? There'll be a really comfortable chair. I know you're tired. Please take a seat.
Down.
I didn't take a load off, Cameron. Well done. You made it to level
Well done,
3.
you found another one of me. Yeah.
Now we're getting to the good part.
Yeah.
Getting spicy now.
I love this bit. Just watch.
Yeah. I came all the way here just for this bit.
Shit.
Yeah, no. So there's a number of these like smaller, like tower-like structures, and then this like palatial sort of central structure. It seems like it might have been something of a courtyard, sort of ringed by these like tower type structures, and then the actual palace itself. Strong, heavy wood metal reinforced doors. There's guards at the doors as well. The doors are opened as Belagorn explains your visit, and you are let in into this palace. It is quite well lit from inside. There's lanterns, a couple of torches as well. You're in a sort of antechamber there, which has a couple of doors leading to the sides, and then a bigger set of double doors leading straight forward into the actual place itself. And you're guided by Belagorn, who doesn't follow you in. He sort of opens up the double door, like one of them, in the antechamber, and gestures for you to go in. And inside, a sort of like a feast hall type situation, where there's a long, big table, big, comfortable looking chairs lining it all the way through, a magnificently spun rug spanning most of the chamber, and it's flanked by various bits and pieces on the sort of lined up by the walls. There's pedestals with sort of glass sculptures. There's like a armor stand with an armor on it, and in the back there's a big fireplace with a fire going, and you go into the room, and it takes you a bit. You notice, oh yeah, there. So there's an individual sat at the table at the far end, and there's a good amount of distance. They get up as you walk in, and presuming you continue to walk, you'll meet sort of by the other end of the table, because it's fairly long, and they
We're going to meet in the middle.
You.
How diplomatic of us.
So a little bit over 2 meters tall, clothed in embroidered high quality robes, comfortable loose fabrics, probably silk of some kind. It's colored in, it's sort of like muted blue, which is the embroidery on it seems it's probably like gold thread, sort of extensive intricate designs, invoking a variety of themes. There's a lot of like nature imagery in the embroidery, so a lot of like fish jumping. There's like the spread wings of a bird, that sort of thing. And the individual looks very much like an elf. They've got the ears, they've got the sort of sleek structure that you've come to associate with the elven people. Yeah, it looks very much like an elven, maybe aristocrat, diplomat, something like that, maybe, who greets you in absolutely pitch perfect, no accent at all. Well, no accent. When I say no accent, human accent, perfect human accent, in your native language, says, "I bid you welcome to my halls."
Thank you for the invitation.
Honestly, not for nothing, my liege, but I know a long years when I see one, and he's looking very pointy. I
have picked up on that.
Just making sure.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know what I didn't know what to expect when I was being taken to see a god, but this.
Oh, remember, elves, they're tricky. Yeah, they're like us. They're made out of what you would call magic. So they could impress these poor slobs, make them think they're a god.
I suppose while they're discussing the relative merits of elves in front of this god in inverted commas.
Well, I just said I recognize an elf when I see one. I just
I'm just gonna bow respectfully.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. If I may, I'm going to reach into my pocket and I'm going to pull out a small like flask or flagon and be like, of course, as a guest in your home, I offer a gift.
So does it have something inside?
Yeah, it has like a little bit of dwarven ale.
Reaches over, takes it, holds it up against, like, there's a torch on the wall, holds it up against the torch, and
I'd be ready to have a nap if you're gonna drink that. Just saying.
I appreciate your concern. The spirits of your people are known to me.
I thought as much, but
please welcome. I can tell that you are students of history and the history of various people that tread upon this earth and their relative deceptiveness. Please have a seat. Glides away.
Yeah, speaking of gifts, the knowledge of a new thing is a gift in itself. Do we sit upon the table in a city once habited by elves? Is this an elven place?
I think perhaps maybe we should sit down like he asked first.
I'm sitting down. I'm saying as I sit down. I'm not refusing to sit.
Yeah, I'll sit as well.
I'm not going to sit, but I'm going to like stand like directly behind sort of Cameron's chair, basically. So if anything does go down, I'm ready to defend the king.
It's a little bitey.
So the elf makes note of this and nods at Ishmael and says, I have noted and also been told by the good people of your difficulties. This is directly to Ishmael. As a gesture of goodwill, if you wish, there may be something that can be done to alleviate your woes while your stay here lasts.
The surroundings here have aggravated my condition. If there is something you or your kind people can do, then I would be most grateful, and I thank you for the offer.
Very good. Speaking of this place, takes a seat, not at the head of the table, but like somewhere rather more close to you, and sort of turns the chair facing you. This city is old, you will have surmised, being astute students of history as you are, rather old. The first inhabitants were the children of the stars, as you have suggested. That was several ages ago.
But you are not one of the children of the stars yourself, just by your phrasing.
He smiles and says, well, very astute. It is a...
It's not my first time talking to an ancient creature.
Yeah, I would imagine so, given your current burdens.
Mm-hmm.
I appear as such to make it more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
I mean, why an elf though? I mean, don't get me wrong, they're, you know, pretty, I guess, but I mean,
incredibly handsome.
I mean, look at this. I mean, you could have like looked like this if you could look like whatever you want. I mean, you know, imagine the beard. I'm just saying.
I suppose it is a
Preference.
it is a longing for when there were children of the stars in these parts.
Yeah, they're not this far south anymore.
I'm hearing they might not be here at all soon.
I know a guy who's trying to work on that.
I'm right here.
No, not the other guy.
Yeah.
The elf guy.
Okay.
There's only one of you, King. You got your own thing to sort out first.
Oh, yeah. I am definitely
Our liege is a mighty ambitious dreamer, let's say.
The gift of your people. The most potent one, anyway.
We burn short but bright.
I mean the dreams. Perhaps it is a consequence of the other.
They can't really plan, can they? Because, you know, by the time
I
they
must-
put a plan together, then they're already in the earth. You know,
I must say though, that usually from a professional standpoint, you must understand. Usually it takes great effort and knowledge to bring someone such as yourself to a place. But yet whoever you are, I know the poet is some kind of alias, cute.
They call me Mayron in the language of the children of the stars.
Mayron. It's a good name. Usually, great effort has to be put forth to summon someone like that, and yet you are here of your own volition. So, I spoke somewhat with the people here. Are you the focus point of something else, or are they truly here on your behalf? Is this something deeper here?
I look after them, they look after me, and more importantly, we both look after the well.
Exactly. What is the well? What is, if such knowledge can be given freely?
The well is well, it is a remnant of the elder days. Before the children of the stars awoke, under the stars.
Many years before any crowns became.
And there is my dear aspirant king, no need to summon me, and there's the appropriate raising of eyebrows anywhere, because I am exactly where I am supposed to be, and I have always been here since the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. I mean, I'm no great scholar of, like, you know, the first days.
You have a folksy wisdom, though, which I like about you for some reason.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Folksy wisdom. I'll add that to my resume. But like the Shaper, this Mayron here has probably always been here. The world we see now is a result of, you know, us. And when I say us, I mean the dwarves, you know, helping the Shaper make it. But the Shaper wasn't the only game in town, as far as I understand it. Master Mayron, I believe you can confirm. And different locales and places were created by these various, for Ishmael's sake, we'll call them beings. And yeah, Mayron's probably just been kicking around for the last kind of several dozen millennia. I mean, is that a good summation? I'm not trying to paint over your history with too many broad strokes, but
It is not for me to speak too much of the days gone by.
yeah.
After all, it is I gave the tools for you and yours to do so. They call me the poet because that was my gift.
The Gabby Gab. Oh well, man. Hey, I gotta actually step up onto the table, kind of walk over. Oh man, I gotta shake your hand then, because I mean, without the gab, I mean, whew, I'm good looking, but I'm not that good looking. I mean, you see the stubble, it's not much of a beard. No, you don't need to know about that. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for that.
It's just
great.
gently does the
okay. Yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. We should talk sometime. And I'll return to my seat after that, of course.
Poet, might it be possible for my liege, I indicate Cameron, to look upon the well that you speak of?
Yes, the well, the crux of everything here.
You can't leave this place. That's what it is, isn't it? That's the thing.
Well, I would not leave because the Kelaquilon is too important, and there's my friends that you've met outside in the city are formidable, and I have every faith in them.
Kelaquilon?
The Well of Awakening.
Ah.
Is that like pure creational essence type stuff, or
the waters run deep, and it is of paramount importance that they remain hidden from whatever eyes might be looking for them, and hence I remain. I am not bound by, I presume you are of the tradition that uses my gift to call upon the celestials, are you not, my good king?
I'm a student, shall we say, of those ways.
I am not bound, for this is my realm, and those of my kin, sadly, of whom. And there's a palpable, you feel it in the room, a palpable, radiating, almost crushing sadness that just washes across the room.
All right, don't get testy with me. It's no need.
Of whom I am, unfortunately, the last. So I remain to guard the well, and these good friends of mine have chosen to dedicate their lives to it as well, and we do what we can.
Poet, I'm sure you're aware of given your wisdom, I'm sure you're aware of the encroaching threat of the marauders as they draw closer to the well.
The poet nods.
I think he's aware of a great many threats that
Indeed.
are approaching.
It is our hope, and the hope of my liege, King Cameron, that we might be able to aid in the defence of this place, to help your people as much as we can against these marauders. We seek only to understand this place more fully, that we might better help defend it against those who would seek to menace and despoil this place.
Truly, it has recently come to my attention that this problem, which I'm told that you also encountered on your way here, it has ever been present in some slight way. For the Well of Awakening does draw unfortunate pairs of eyes to this place, but it is not impossible for us to deal with the heirs of the fall, who you would know as the Pale Ones. That is something we are intimately familiar with, but of late, the Pale Ones, they have established somewhat of a foothold in the Erduath, to the north of here. And I sense a whiff of the darkness about you, my good aspirant king, which tells me that you are perhaps quite familiar with what is currently plaguing the remnants of the Children of the Stars to the west. So, please.
I succeeded when no one expected me to. I retrieved the crown of my people. To learn its secret, I had to use it. That did have a consequence. I spoke to the creature you refer to.
The entity of the darkness.
But rather more concretely, the shall we say the servants of darkness?
The voices.
Yes.
Is that the wolf song?
There are. That is another new problem, good dwarf, and we will return to that momentarily.
Yeah, my elf friend was talking about going to go fight it or something like
that. I would be able to fend off the current threat with the help of everyone else here. However, it would necessitate an unfortunate journey that I do not wish to undertake, for I dare not leave the well unattended. The current marauders, so to speak, that you also run into are rather more emboldened by the fact that they have enacted some, arts of their own using the ancient blood and bones of my dead sibling in the Eroduath. These remains were already defiled in the ancient days by dark sorceries, but they have gained enough craft now that I believe they have actually managed to put together the semblance of the one remaining voice that has not yet been brought back to this earth. There are two currently hastening the demise of the Children of the Stars. The third one is not yet here, yet they have conjured a shadow of despair in the Eroduath, which is strong enough to lend them strength enough to menace my people. This is the current crux for which your eager pledges of assistance, I would say, is the best endpoint for. We all would benefit from this threat being gone for once they grow bold enough, once they grow numerous enough, they already have the resources and whatever dark arts they conjure.
Okay.
The Erudoth is not that far away from Kaer Amaros, where I do believe you have come from right now. Is that not correct?
That is so, Master Poet.
This threat is currently hidden, but visible to mine eyes. And
if I were to lend what strength I have at present to this task, and there are many that I need to attend to, this gift of sight you have, could you bestow it upon one of my brethren?
For what purpose?
Well, I come from somewhat of a cursed lineage, as you already have surmised. But I'm trying to, what time remains in me to put as much right as I can. I'm aware of the plight of the elves, and that after this adventure, after this diplomatic envoy, that was my next real task as this newfound position. However, the problem I had is, even if I can get to the elves and I can get an audience with them if they respect the crown, which I think they might, if not my name, they will respect the crown, I still can't find this thing and root it out. I don't have that power, and I am nervous to be granted more power, considering my nature. But if you could bestow that upon, say, my friend Ishmael here, a man not of faith but of reason from horror in his past, I think his judgment would be sound, and he would be able to perceive such a thing.
Perceive what exactly?
I believe, Poet, that given that you have said that you can perceive this semblance of the voice that has been grafted together from these defiled bones, I believe my liege is asking whether it would be possible for you to lend us the gift of being able to perceive this creature.
Give me the gift of your sight,
so that we might track it down and achieve this task that you have laid before us.
You need not my sight to find it in the Erudoth. It will be, I would imagine, quite apparent by what I can only presume are the ever assembling regiments of both the heirs of the fall and now, Mr. Dwarf, we get to your point as well. The ones that have unfortunately been inspired by one of the corruptions of my gift, the wolf song. You should not be surprised to find some of my erstwhile friends from this place also having headed to
talking to us about that outside.
A wound that I struggle to heal with the considerable beck and call.
Master Poet, I know that you're pals, but if it should come to blows, there's no guarantees that we can spare them.
It is the nature of the wolf song entire. This is not something that is new to me or that I am precious about. It is a tragedy, but the conclusion has already been established.
Well, that's fine then. I mean, so my liege here is a very forthright nature, and as you can tell, his seneschal here, Ishmael, is also very chivalrous by trade. I'm a little bit more the wheel and deal type. That would be your fault, though. The whole gap thing. So, hey, I just want to establish that we're going to be doing this because it's in everyone's interest in the immediate term that we should do so. However, understanding that this is your realm and these are your people, but these are your people who are human, and then the human kingdom, and my liege is the king of kings of the humans. What I'm trying to get at here is that are you, after we've taken care of said task, open to certain negotiations regarding this particularly well-hidden harborage and defensible city location, for the future?
I think the connection might have.
I think the
picked up a
holy
little bit.
signal has been disrupted by the machinations of the darkness.
It would appear that the poet has withdrawn his gift of the gap.
Give the gap is gone. No.
Oh, he's
The
back.
poet giveth,
Yeah.
the poet taketh away.
Oh God, I know. Seriously.
Here we
Dealing
go.
with gods.
Yeah, you're back. So the poet says, negotiations as far as what, mercantile?
No, nothing as crass as that. All for the effort of well, let's see. We have a flame king we got to overthrow. We got the darkness to cast back. We have elves to save. The list is getting longer and longer, and I just happen to note that this is a perfectly hidden place with easy access to the great rivers. I believe the word is strategical. It's a strategical location. So my liege,
Strategic.
apologies, strategic location, and my liege would be interested in perhaps utilizing said location with your permission, of course. This, of course, would be a mutually beneficial arrangement, given that my king intends to, well, save the world.
You wish to bring warriors here on your way to somewhere else?
Yes and no. The details I was going to discuss later.
That would be the part. The stipulations would be the negotiations, but the rough stroke of it would be that we would like to potentially use this place as a safely hidden area to ferry things, perhaps even build a few things. I wouldn't want to bring any more trouble here, but I mean, the trouble is coming to us all, whether we want it or not. So,
If you can brave the waters, I do believe it is not of consequence to arrange for a dock.
I can brave any waters. Me and my kid.
My original purpose coming here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Dav, but you were kind of going around the subject. Is that one of the first duties I had when I took the mantle in Keramus is that we are getting people from Riethil. I'm assuming you're familiar with Riethil and surrounding lands who have been afflicted with a kind of sickness by my ancestor. Oh, well, she don't know it's by my. No, Riethil from the kind of a fell flame. I don't know how to describe it really.
I do.
You've seen it before.
Are these
It
those
is-
undead horror abominations
It
things?
is the fire that burns in Riethil is a pale imitation of a fire that one ancient courtly sorcerer from the capital of the old kingdom
You speak of Wraithwin.
discovered. Yes, that was her name. The fire that burns in Riethil is a pale imitation discovered by less capable hands that got involved in some of the lore in turn uncovered by this Rathawen of Dol Siriath in
I understand that
in her
reference.
time, who in turn had stumbled upon scraps of the truth from the ancient days. It is quite the chain of events. It would be, I suppose, amusing. It remains interesting, but the fact is they despoil the heritage of the true fire at the heart of the world, which, as it happens, and it gives up like a wide smile for the first time, which as it happens is the sire of me and mine.
Your father, for want of a better. Okay.
Mortal was.
Now that would be something I would like to learn more of.
This is starting to sound like deep religious stuff here.
Deep law.
You know, Shaper, planet, fires, heart. Yeah, I really should have paid attention better in.
Well,
in-
every poet must get their stories from somewhere, Darwin.
Yeah, that's true.
I never caught up with that Dol Siriath and
She's
She
She
currently,
sounds wicked. Yeah.
she is, to be truthful, she is currently in within my
she yet lives.
she's not, I wouldn't say she's in my employ. She's more of a consultant right now, but she lives still. I rescued her from well, I suppose I'm taking a bit too much credit there. I assisted in her rescue in Dol Siriath, a place I have been.
I'd suggest my liege getting her on the payroll. We don't want her just being
I tried.
a consultant. Like,
I tried.
well, hey, you haven't had me talk to her yet. I mean,
She believes that she has ruined the world.
She
I cannot-
has, in a way,
But
she has taken knowledge, taken craft that did not belong to her. Not that the theft is the curse of it all, the misapplication and the stumbling and fumbling about. That is the crime,
humans,
which
right?
echoes now in Dol Siriath in a debased form. Both of these fires, both the fire of Riethil and the fire of Rathawen, they are echoes of the fire at the heart of the world.
So
pale imitations. However, not to defend her actions, but to more illuminate, since your perspective is different from a timeless one, it seems, is how else does she learn other than to make mistakes? And that's what I've been trying to teach her, that it is not the act itself, it is what you do afterwards.
actually, it's definitely the act itself.
You're not helping, Darwin.
No. I apologize, but I mean, you humans and your hubris. It's unreal.
My point is that even though that she is definitely caused a great number of pain and suffering, as is many things in this world, there is still a kernel of hope in each of us, regardless if we are elf, dwarf, whatever I am, and yourself. And that thing
Whatever
still,
I am.
yeah,
Gives another bright,
yeah,
big smile.
that still can be nurtured, and good can still come of it. That is the point. That is what we should never lose sight of, because that gives us the power, not in any mystical sense, but the power to change. And that is the heart. We must change. We must move forward together. Otherwise, we are but ash of the
Ah,
flame, if you would
I
permit
was,
me a poetic reference.
that was very pretty, I think he invented words though, so I don't know if he's gonna really be swayed by them. I'm just saying.
I grasp the dwarf for sure. Trust me, these creatures, again, forgive me, I do not know your true name, they find great amusement in the attempt. What I was
It's like the amusement of watching a child take his first steps. It's
Yeah.
cute.
The point I was making, this flame, this imitation, I want to help the people who are affected by it. Some of these are just innocent people caught up in these wider events. If the waters of your place can help them, could I utilize some? I'm not going to take all of it, because that is not my right, nor anybody's, even a king.
Nor would you be able to.
I was about to say that.
Nor would I be able to. But I would not attempt to. I'm saying I have the wisdom to understand that it is by your leave. I would like to try and save as many as I can. And it would set a good example to the people that I am representing of what we can do if I demonstrate this. So if you permit me some of the wonders of this place, to either bring the people here and you can decide if they're worthy of the curative powers here, or you give me so much that I may use, and the details the amount is negotiable.
There is enough in the well for you to have your portion.
I seek none for myself, only for the ones caught up in this.
Indeed, as my liege says, it is not hardly possible to unite humanity against a common enemy by damning so many of them out of hand. Far better to reach out a hand to them and attempt to lift them back into the light, so that they can aid their brothers and their sisters in the trying times we will all face ahead.
Well, I am pleased by your vim and verve, and I do believe that we can make use of some of that hope you seem to be intent on sparking, my aspirant king.
A pale imitation, again, of the flame you referenced, but a good attempt nonetheless.
You have my invitation to stay as long as you wish.
Thank you.
But
Sounds like we got some problems up north we're gonna go sort out on all our behalves before long. But hey, real quick question for you though, before we leave you to your repose, Master Poet.
I was thinking rather of your repose.
I am incredibly tired.
Thank you. You're so incredibly thoughtful. Real quick question. So the Shaper, yeah, you know all about the Shaper, right? So is he is the Shaper like one of you, or is like the Shaper like chicken or the egg, or like is like
you put me in a difficult situation.
I know, but like, how many dwarves are gonna get this opportunity to like ask these questions? So I have to ask,
Perhaps we spare some for the days to come.
Gonna leave me in suspense. Yeah. You definitely, I got you. Yeah.
Maybe you'll just find out soon that you do not want the answer.
Oh no, of course I won't be.
With your leave, Poet, thank you for the audience. We will retire and rest and recover.
Yes. Much to
I
think
trust
about.
that you shall find your way back on the morrow, and we shall continue then.
I would
we
like
got some
that.
planning to do.
Rest well, and rest easy, for as yet the darkness cannot reach this place. And should it do so, I shall be there to watch over your rest.
You have our thanks.
And yeah, we're going to leave it there for today.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very much enjoyed that.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
A
As
big,
always.
big talky bit there. Right. Okay. So we're going to
All the
continue
lore.
there next time.
Indeed. Right. Well, again, thank you very much for running that, Johannes. Very much
Thanks for playing.
enjoyed it. I'll stop the stream here, then obviously we can sort out Arthur